was mostly women's group. Yeah, they were supporting strikers.
Yeah, I did. The only thing I know about the Labor Temple was that it was a building. And I thought that's where the union workers always went to get their jobs, if I remember right. So that's all I remember of that. Now, I think we still have concerned citizens of Clinton that are, everybody's always concerned. There's always something. You can't get away from it. So, no, I did not.
Okay. What about the community now? Do you think the community has changed since the strike, or has there been a subtle, or has been...
I think the community has changed greatly since the strike. I'm not sure it was because of the strike. Clinton Foods and ADM, today ADM, is a big producer and a big employer in our community. Back then, Clinton Foods, I think at that time during the strike, I think there was 1,700 people working there. And a lot of those people were involved in city government. We were a prosperous community. We had all your major stores here in town. We had managers. We had a great inner core of people that were working. As Clinton Foods changed, as the railroads changed, these other places started closing down. I think, and then we started losing our J.C. Penney store and our Sears store and our Montgomery Ward store and our Woolworths, and we started losing all those middle management people that would take care of working for the United Way or the Junior Women's League or Women's Club or J.C.'s and those type of things. Those folks have gone, so we haven't been able to fill that void yet. We are working at it. So I think the strike was one point in time, but I don't think it was for me, it wasn't the most devastating part of that whole. I think you had to take the whole thing as a whole. And like our business, we went from doing great to where, holy moly, we didn't know if we were going to make it. And my wife and I used to joke, well, we can always live in the basement. And truly, I mean, we thought we were going to have to sell the house or get out or do something and raise 5 kids in the basement of the restaurant. So, but you know, you just keep working at it, and we did. And the community is fine if we can just get some of those concerns out of the way a little bit, relax a little bit. Yeah. I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it does. Thank you. So you feel that the community is going to be just fine?
Well, I think the community is fine. I mean, and I think we've got all kinds of great things that we do here. I mean, it's no different than any other community. You can drive throughout this entire, you can drive into the Quad Cities, and you're going to see just as much blight or empty buildings or vacant lots as you would here in Clinton, proportionally, okay? You can go into Chicago, and sure, if you go to downtown Chicago and you see the Magnificent Mile and you go out to Oak Brook and you go shopping at the shopping center, that's great. Go down to Randolph Street or go down to Cermak and then see what you find there. Go down towards East Chicago. Our country's the country's caved in a little bit. We're just a microcosm, is that the right word? Of what's going on throughout our entire country. So, but we're fine. We gotta get more people to think more positive. I mean, this was a part of our history, and we don't need to be so negative all the time. I mean, I'm in the restaurant business, okay? And I've been in it since I was 13. I started washing dishes, all right, by hand.
Ew.
No dishwashers. And you know, so I've been in it a long time, and I love the business. I love doing what we do, and so yeah, we're fine.
Is there anything in particular that you would want people to know about the time of the strike, about the community during the time of the strike? Something important that needs to be passed on?
We pulled through it. We made it. I mean, did we like where we came out at? Maybe not, but we made it. We're here. We're still working. The ones that are here, a lot of people left. When DuPont closed down their cellophane plants, we lost people to West Virginia, to Missouri, North Carolina, to different DuPont plants. So, but we're still here. Yeah, we'd like to have all those people come back and see what we are. It's a brilliant community. the community has a brilliance about it, I feel, with the river and Eagle Point Park and the different things that we can offer. And from a food aspect, I'm just gonna brag. We were doing foods back in '75. We were doing foods in '75 that were New York style, Chicago style. Racks of lamb, roasted duck. Today that might not sound. Beef bourguignons, all these different foods that we were producing.
You're making me
Well,
hungry.
that's good. And we continue to do that today. So I have young men and women up at the restaurant that are working, preparing all these different dishes. We do all kinds of different events. So I think from a culinary standpoint, we've kept Clinton at the forefront of I mean, we're not, don't get me wrong, we're not a Michelin star or any of that other stuff, but we really produce good food where we're at. So I think we have all kinds of bright things here in town. Yeah.
Do you think there are like? Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Probably.
Do you think there, other than that you guys pulled through, that you made it, do you think there are any specific lessons to be learned from the strike?
Communication.
Yeah.
People have to talk. And if there's anger, they still need to talk. They need to be respectful and learn how to communicate with each other. And, you know, we all don't win. Every game doesn't come out a tie. So, and just because you lose doesn't mean you're wrong. It just means that you weren't right that time. So, yeah, I think communications has to be improved.
Mike, I have a completely off-topic question that is about the Italian-American Supper Club, which is, you know, clearly something that exists in lots of different places.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious, was there something of an Italian-American community here in Clinton?
No.
It was mostly just like your family. Interesting.
There was, you know, it was. No, we were pretty much. My dad had his brother that lived here in town.
Yeah.
There were the Marcucci's, which had a candy store and soda fountain area that my dad actually came to Clinton to work with, for, and then Palestrini's, Rastrelli's, Marcucci's. Boy, there might have been a few others, but back in it was pretty sparse. A lot of Danes, Swedish, and German and Irish.
Do you know why your dad got in the restaurant business?
He was fantastic with his hands, and when he was in the service, he was in the First World War in the Italian Army, and after he got done, of course, everything in Europe was devastated. There was just nothing, and his dad was a farmer, and he just told him, go to the United States. And so his sister, Dad's older sister, was here, and one of his older brothers was here. The sister was in Holyoke, Massachusetts, and the brother was in Chicago. So he migrated over to Chicago, and went to work in a candy factory. And he did terracotta work for some of the buildings at one time, and then he went to work in the candy factory. And a good friend of his by the name of Pasquinelli had a candy company, and back in those days, they would ride their routes. They would start in Chicago and hit every town they could. And usually there was a little Italian store or someplace that he would sell his candies to. Deluxe Candy Company was the name of it. And Marcucci's, like I said, had an opening for an ice cream maker and candy maker. So Dad, Angelo Pasquinelli, said, you know, this might be something to take a look at. And so he did. And my mother was a nurse. And my mother had an 8th grade education, okay? Now my mom, this doesn't have to go up. My mom was the most modern woman you could have, okay? She was independent, she was fierce, and she was dedicated, and she was hardworking. And she married my dad. She went to 8th grade education and ended up coming over to Mercy Hospital to become a nurse, and went to nurses training over there. And she was dynamite. She was absolutely the Spitfire. If people will tell you about Pete Knight or Rastrelli, that they were the mom and dads to more kids in this town than the parents were. But she was a Spitfire. You didn't mess with either. I mean, she would walk up to anybody and tell them to get the hell out of the business. So Stop giving it. But they met down at the candy shop, and they just ended up, they got married, and that was it. She gave up nursing, went to work in the business in 39, 40. No, I guess it was in 50 when we moved up to the Lions. So, but she still was a nurse. She was a private duty nurse for a lot of different docs here. So, yeah.
And you said you were one of 5 siblings?
5 children. 1 girl,
Wow.
4 boys.
I feel bad for your sister.
What's that?
I feel bad for your
Yeah,
sister.
she always reminds me of that too, how many times she changed my diaper. Okay, so don't feel too bad. She was the second oldest. I had older brother Bob, then my sister Carol, then older brother Jim, then myself, and then Tom. And 3 of us were in the business together, and we tried to get things going. So yeah,
Well,
80s were great. You know, the 80s we had 21% interest rates for building. Isn't that something?
yeah.
And you went out and you built something, and so yeah. But